I'm actually very excited to do this because this is the first time we're talking about this narrative as a body. And it's something which we've started working on for now a while. We do believe that it's important to build inclusive AI systems for marketing. And that is only possible if we as a community gather and reflect on it deeply to understand context and to really realize why it matters so much. So that said, we've been doing some deep work on it. We've been very, very fortunate to have some experts as a part of it. What you see here is also a co-group who is enabling inclusive AI with us very, very actively. And that apart, we also have two more experts with us who couldn't join us today, but have sent us a very, very useful video message, which I do want to play before we start. One of them is Kirtika Reddy, who's our strategic advisor, helping us with inclusive AI as a narrative. And then there is Dr. Avinash Jangiani, who's also really, really inspired us to work deeply on this narrative as a body. So can we please have the video bites for both of them? Yeah, it's fine.
AI is disrupting every industry as we know it and reshaping marketing at an unprecedented scale. As we move forward in this brave new world, let's remember that AI is only as powerful as the people that it includes. Innovation without inclusion is incomplete. Today, I'm incredibly excited to unveil a groundbreaking partnership between AI Kiran, a national initiative building a movement of women in AI, and the MMA. Together, we are advancing a shared vision to ensure that AI-powered marketing is inclusive, responsible, and representative across the board. The AI Kiran community is now a 10,000 member community since its launch in June and growing very rapidly. With MMA's decades of marketing expertise, global frameworks, and access to a powerful network of practitioners, each one of you in this audience, it is our time to act with urgency, with purpose and intention to ensure that innovation leaves no one behind. Thank you.
Can we also play Avinash's bite?
The ROI of women-led AI isn't just moral, it's strategic. To shape the future of marketing, we must close the gender gap in AI adoption and leadership. We all know what happened when the Industrial Revolution left women behind. AI must not. We cannot allow this technology to be defined by narrow perspectives or short-term gains. This is our chance to get it right, to build systems that are not only intelligent but wise. And the wisdom requires women at the helm, not only to balance the equation, but to elevate the very direction AI takes next.
So this was important to just set context, and I hope it sort of rings a bell on why are we talking. We're not talking anymore the usual diversity. We're talking about AI inclusivity here, and very specifically keeping in mind that it's an evolving ecosystem. And we've also started some deep work on understanding state of women in AI when it comes to media and marketing. And as it builds, we will be sharing more about it. So that said, I'm going to turn to my panelists, and we've been speaking a lot about the importance of inclusivity in AI, and we've had our own debates there. There's a data point I'm going to start with, and I'm going to open the question to any of you who would like to answer this. So there's research which says that women comprise 25% of AI researchers globally. We're talking globally, yeah? And how, therefore, this is like an average number, it's not a great number, but yet, how can we ensure that women aren't left behind in shaping the AI systems that we're building today for the marketing ecosystem? So Neeta, you want to give it a crack?
So I really think that AI is going across categories. It's not only in marketing, it's across the board. And inclusivity actually helps to build more innovative and ethical systems in AI. And I think it's our responsibility to get the representation of not just women, but make it inclusive, when you look at it at an all-round purpose. And I think we need to move away from tokenism to, for women to just be from users to actually be people who are shapers and creators, when we are on this journey to build AI. And some of the things that we think and we are trying to do at Aditya Birla as well is can we start upskilling them? Can we give them more exposure? Leadership, actually having equal representation and breaking stereotypes that, when it's tech, it's male and, women come in when it's comms, etc. So we're trying to actually have the leadership positions being spearheaded by women. The culture, I think somewhere down the line, it's important to see that it's also within the culture that we actually promote from within and we get more women to understand it and not make it something which is like this black box. I don't understand it, I'm afraid, and therefore go. So get them to, sort of use it, experience it, and then be part of teams that actually take them forward. So even we've got these, what we call cross-functional teams, where we've got tech teams, we've got marketing teams that really work together to have use cases, which then are developed by our tech team. So there is that whole culture of shared knowledge that really happens. So I think these are some of the things that we're doing, and I would say that it's also about championing these women, making these women stand tall at times and create that awareness so that more people are inspired to get into the stream. So these are some of the things that I think we could
do. No, that makes sense, and that puts a broad context for which now I'm going to turn to Waseem, you and Saurabh. So, whilst we said at an organizational level, there are ways to encourage that culture of inclusivity for AI. When it comes to the domain itself and the product development itself, there also it plays a big role, right? So for example, Waseem, when you're training, say, AI models, right, to maybe build campaigns, design creatives, so on and so forth, the input that goes into it, right, if it's not inclusive, it's likely to flaw the output. So how are you thinking about it? What is your thought and approach there?
So it's a very interesting question. I think in this room, everyone is obsessed with AI, and everyone we want to use AI in marketing campaigns because we are hearing every single day, let's use AI to bring the efficiency. In a similar line, we are working with one of the brand, and that brand into B2 segment. They build the model. That model is predicting the propensity of that user is, what is the propensity of that user to buy the product. And they would like to use that model for look-liking so that their targeting could be more efficient. But the variable they choose to build that model is about the engagement. Now the engagement, while these variables comes from a clean data. We are living in this area so Metro City passed the clean data. Apart from the metro cities, if you go to tier 2 cities, right, their infrastructure, the knowledge, education is not that much as the metro cities. So data supply from tier 2 cities is not that great as in the tier 1 cities. So they utilize all these variables and they build the models. And they will have a segment ready which they want to test in a marketing campaign. What happened is when they activated in that segment to the media channel and the results was skewed towards the metro cities. Because tier 2 city was left out because the variable they choose, they was not chosen which mean we are willing to the tier 2 cities because the data is not that clean, right, available. So in this example, we identify clearly if the AI is not inclusive, right? So our results are not that much great as we are expecting is. So that's the marketer has to see whatever the AI model, right, can be we are implementing. There has to be catered all the requirement from tier 1, tier 2, the respective variables as well, so that the results could be arrive better than.
Sure. So
no, I just want to add to that. I mean, we have retail and we have fashion, and typically, whatever we've been seeing of AI models, and we've had a couple of these people that we've been working with who are international partners, you tend to get models that don't work for us. Their body types are different, their skin structures are different, and when you put our clothes onto them, I mean, we found with a lot of our campaigns that people just were not taking them up, and therefore there wasn't enough of cultural ethnicity, whether it was color, whether it was body types, whether it was just models that look like us for people to want to buy. So I think it is the stereotyping that is a bit of a bummer, and we need to kind of look at all aspects when we get into it.
These are such real gaps which seem so convincing, right? And Saurabh, I'm going to come to you on that note because of the platform you run. I'm sure there are ways where you're also trying to bridge that gap. Like, for Sunita, it was more about, okay, is the customer persona looking right? You know, for you, it could be what is the interaction you do with the audience at the other end? And if that interaction is not inclusive, then are you going to miss out on certain finer things which are very valuable and cannot be overlooked, right? So how do you think you're going to be able to tackle it?
So, I mean, obviously, it's very important because the more diverse data you are going to have, the more diverse outcome that you are going to have. For example, in our case, we were building voice agents for hospitality, right, for a villa company. Now, if you see, for example, if there is an inquiry from a male person, right, their question sets is a lot different from when an inquiry comes from a female person, right? Their questions are more about safety, right? How far is it, whether it's in isolated area or not. So when we built our first MVP, it was more towards salesperson, right?
Okay.
But when obviously we hired more female engineers, their questions when we give our product them to testing, their questions were more about safety, right? And our bot could not answer because we didn't thought about that much, right? And similarly, for example, if you have to make it inclusive for any product, right? The people who are building it has to be more inclusive.
Right.
So in respect of women, I would say that they have to be co-creator rather than beneficiary of the AI design systems.
Makes so much sense, and again, so practical need, right? But it's just that I think in the whole rush to implement AI, we're missing these very important foundational aspects which will eventually backfire when those systems grow bigger, right? So on that note, tell me, now that we all know that this is a very early stage, this is also a good time to maybe, as you know, with the understanding we have, probably give some thought starters, some beginner advice on how can you make sure that you are building for AI inclusivity, or rather you're building AI stacks for marketing which are inclusive. So do each of you want to just share one specific beginner input which could help the audience who's probably trying to see how it could be useful?
I think it just needs to be more representative of who your world is. The whole idea of using AI is efficiency, is time, but if you get it wrong, it doesn't serve the brand purpose.
So what's the start point?
So start point is really to see that who is my audience and see that you have a representation of that in the kind of input that you put into the AI models, from which it learns and then gives you back something. The previous panel was talking about authenticity, relevance, relatability. All of that holds true for us as well, because it's not just about doing the job cheaper, faster. It's about building the brand. It's about building business. So in my previous example, if people are not buying my product because they can't relate to the model that is wearing it, I'm losing my business. So what's the point of saving the money? Then I might as well go shoot and do it the traditional way.
Am I on? Yeah. Interestingly, there was an HDFC session and he was showing us some creatives, right? Where he was talking about your big day, which is the marriage. And he showed that how it was different in the northern part of the country and the southern part of the country, the look, the colors, all of it, right? So all these are nuances, right? So I'm saying, for you, when you are thinking creative, when you're thinking media, what would you advise should be the way to make it very inclusive when you're planning?
Fair. It's a very interesting question because as like in the previous sessions, we talked about many India. Right. While we talk about many India within the India, that means we are divided. Definitely could be, gender is one of them, but apart from gender, that could be a language, which is very important, right? And after that could be context, because the festivals that's coming, right, in every different state of the India. So these are different variables are available with us that will cater the right requirement for our end consumer. So my advice to the brand is, so we have to have a right data clean foundation, so that will be available the right data, so that we can see what variables are available, so that we can create the right creative for the right audiences is. And we'll like cater every single individuals in India, depending what's their penetrations, right? What their interests are, so that we'll speaking very, very like kind of a one-to-one personal to them. It's not looks like we are very casually talking about like a billionaires day, definitely, but they are not talking to me. It looks like an ad, it's not a personalized to me. So hence, if we do have a data foundations very strong available, we do have a different variable that cater the persona, I think we'll deliver the right message. And the AI will cater very effectively if these variables are available to us.
Sure. So basically, even the fact that what you ask the system is important, right? And that is only possible, like what you will use as prompt and what I will use as a prompt will vary. It has to vary, right? And that is what will give the complete outcome, which
So it's like playing a
Yeah.
dumb Sraj, right? Have you already played a dumb Sraj, right? Everyone, right? If you already given a movie to someone, if you are not guessing properly, right, you'll not guess the movie name, right? So it's simple. If you are not prompting right, you're not getting the right results. It's very simple.
fair enough. That's nice. You know, I'm going to ask you a slightly more nuanced aspect to inclusivity. So obviously we've spoken a lot about the fact that, you know, having women involved is important. Even language is a very important angle to inclusivity, right? Like today, what we do is we just prompt in English, but that's just not reflective of you know, what you need to train the system with, given that we are a very diverse country and there is a lot of biases based on the choice of words that you will use. So how are you trying to tackle, or are you intending to do something about it?
So it's obviously, it's a very big problem because everyone is talking about AI, especially in voice. For example, I think you know about the Alpenlibre Lollipop campaign, right? Which perfectly Venezuela has
They're
done,
right here
right?
somewhere.
For the tier 2 and tier 3 market, right? Obviously, even if we talk about voice AI, the major language that we have, covered is Hindi and English, right? Even in Hindi, there are so many dialects which are not being covered. For example, we were, working with a hospital based out of Punjab. So their requirement was to have those, dialects of all the 3 major Punjabi dialects because they want to talk to the people in their own language, right? And similarly, when it comes to voice linguistic, I mean, we have more than 18 national languages, right?
Yes.
And then 80 languages, then they have their own dialects. At this point of time, not a single AI model has been able to solve those, right? Obviously, we have major language covered, Hindi and English, and to some extent Tamil. We are also working with Bharshni to create more data set so that the actual voice agent that is going to into the market would be, able to talk to the people in their own language with the same empathy that the person is talking to.
And I think in that
Yeah.
you might want to also say it's not just about transliteration. It has to actually get the right
Context.
phrase in the context because the words don't mean anything when the entire sentence is constructed correctly. So it's not word for word translation, but it's the essence of what you're trying to say because that's what people understand. So that's another nuance that we have to sort of
Absolutely,
build.
absolutely. You know, that's so well put, and you know, those are interesting insights. Do you want to add anything, Wasim, from a language diversity standpoint? How do you think it could be tackled, or is it something you think is a problem to
It's a-
address?
It's definitely a problem. We have to definitely to address if we have to go India too, because we know the opportunity and the growth rates in the India too now. And India too is not they are not speaking English every single day for day-to-day use, right? So all these nuances like panelists like mentioned about like dialect, very important, right? In case for voice, it's very different, right? If I don't, the model does not have a right context, they will not give you the right output to you. So I think we have to solve these nuances if we have to scale any of the AI for tier 2 cities or India too, very honest.
Great. So, any closing comments in the interest of time, and you know, anything you'd like to leave?
I think I would say don't take inclusivity as a moral responsibility, right? It's actually a practical approach for a business, right? Because your consumers, like Wasim said, it's in your India too, right? Or we say Bharat, right? So don't consider it as it's a CSR responsibility or it's a moral responsibility. It's a practical approach to drive next leg of growth, to make your system AI inclusive.
Sure, sure.
I think we're at early stages and therefore inclusivity is a topic that we're discussing. But as we sort of advance, I just want to also put a word of caution that we shouldn't overcompensate the inclusivity. It has to be representative of what the audience is for us to get as authentic in terms of results. So I think somewhere that overcorrection, over sponsorship, whether it's women, whether it's language, like you said, not just English, Hindi, it has to go beyond. So those are things we might need to keep in mind, but that's some time away. Just a word of caution that I wanted to put.
Wasim?
Yeah. So I think for before like moving to AI inclusivity, I think the important factor is to build the right data foundation. Because if that's not ready, I think whatever we want to achieve, will not achieve in the future as well. So data foundation is the immediate need.
Perfect. Okay, so we stuck to time, and that said, I think, I hope the idea was to get some reflections going on AI inclusivity. I heard one of the panelists talk about having an AI policy. Do remember, in the AI policy, AI inclusivity is a very, very key aspect and cannot be ignored, else that policy is still incomplete. Yeah, so I hope this was useful, and we're happy to take questions offline. You must know that this is also a court committee which is beginning to work very closely with MMA on driving AI inclusivity. So you will see and hear more about it from us. Thank you, and have a great day ahead.